is Rosanna. I'm the nurse practitioner with Valhalla Vitality. I've been a nurse practitioner for the past 6 years. I was a registered nurse before, and I worked in a lot of acute illness in the hospital, which led me to this path actually, because I saw a lot of people having chronic illnesses and which could have been avoidable. So currently I love doing preventative and aesthetic medicine, which brings me here, and weight loss is a big part of everyone's life. Yes, so I'm the provider. We mainly screen patients that are interested in weight loss, and we give them a tool basically to reach their goal weight using the newer medication, which are the GLP-1 antagonists, which many of you have heard. It's the semaglutide and the tirzepatide. And I know there's a lot of misconception now, especially with the side effects and the media and the news about these GLPs. So we can kind of dive into that.
Yeah, I would love to.
Some of the side effects and what's expected and what's normal, what's not normal.
Right, so I know that there's a little bit of a difference between the semaglutide and the tirzepatide. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, the semaglutide has a few more side effects, right? For most people?
Yeah, so the semaglutide has been on the market for longer and has actually been FDA approved for weight loss, right? But it does have a little bit more side effect as far as nausea.
Okay.
And a lot of people feel heartburn because it's just so, the GI side effect, it's rough.
Right.
Where I feel like tirzepatide is the winner here out of all the peptide, because you're getting both. Action is just stronger. You have more autonomy over the choices you make.
Yep.
And that's a really big, it's not just portion control, it's what you're eating as well. And a lot of it, we don't think about it, it's coming from our brain.
Right, yes. And that has been, I talk to a lot of friends here, a significant, it's just something that you can't communicate until you've experienced it. For instance, my children, daughter's 30, my son's 28, they have zero interest in eating when they're not hungry, or they have zero interest in eating desserts just because they're on the table, and my brain could not comprehend that before. And so now that I'm on this medicine, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this what normal people have, is this what food is like for them? Is this what it feels like to have that kind of brain? I just didn't know, because I've never experienced that.
Yes, and that's okay. There's no two people that are the same. Everybody's different. And that's why there's no single treatment that's for everybody.
Right.
This could be, it may work for you, but for somebody else, it may not be their cup of tea.
Right.
And the most important thing is that as we age, our body's changing. We're becoming, our hormones are dropping, right? So really in pre and postmenopausal women, this really works a lot because you have more insulin resistance, and what these medications do, they really help with insulin resistance.
Okay, so talk about that, because that's another difference with the tirzepatide, is it has 2 GLP-1 agonists or something, and one of them is targeting the insulin resistance specifically, right? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so tirzepatide has a GLP-1 antagonist, but it also has another component called the GIP.
GIP, okay.
And the GIP is what's really working in the brain on your pituitary gland. The pituitary gland has many different functions, but one function is that it produces ghrelin hormone.
Okay.
The ghrelin hormone is what's really kind of drives us for our cravings, and they call it the food noise, but it's sort of like if you're hungry and you had dinner, but now you're like, let me have dessert, and you just indulge, and it just goes, because the more you have sugar, you want more sugar. Sort of, right? It just kind of goes on and on and on. Versus this is going to help you to kind of be like, okay, I had dinner, I'm satisfied, I'm okay to stop now.
Yes, and that's huge.
And that's huge because, we're all busy, we're all have jobs, we're not in the gym 3 hours a day burning all of that, right? And you have a chocolate bar, you have to run in a treadmill for 40 minutes to burn that chocolate bar.
Right.
There's no way that we're burning that much calories.
No. Right. And so there's the being able to stop Another part that I have noticed is just that food is very neutral for me now. Like, I can make decisions about what I'm going to eat based on nutritional content rather than like this drive. Like, if there was a spread of fried foods and then like, you know, vegetables and good proteins and, you know, all of the what we would consider healthier, more nutritionally dense food here, before my mouth would have watered at the fried, cheesy, fatty foods. Now that makes me feel sick, but I realize that, so I have no desire for that, and I choose foods based on like how I can nourish my body, which is what we've always been told. Like, well, just eat for fuel, you know, just fuel your body. And it's like, yes, but also when your brain is craving these things, I couldn't do it.
Exactly. So that's why dieting will work. I mean, diet and exercise is the old-fashioned way, right? You have paleo, keto, and a lot of people are like, you know, don't use these medications, it's cheating. But really, we're using these medications for you as a tool. Right. And you've done a great job. How much weight have you lost so far?
I've lost 117
But
pounds.
It's work. Even with the Mounjaro, with the Tirzepatide, it's work.
Yeah. I pay attention, you know. I have to stay hydrated. I have to make sure that I have enough protein and that I'm getting enough fiber, because that's a problem if we don't get enough fiber. And so where I have, it was kind of a black or white, pass, fail. I would diet and white knuckle it until I just couldn't do it anymore. And then it's like, forget it, I just can't do this. And then I would go back to nothing, you know, and just eating whatever and doing whatever. Now it's like the medicine is holding this baseline for me, so that the work that I'm doing does not feel like it's not the same level of work, but I do have to pay attention. I mean, I could still just eat empty calories and things like that if I wasn't paying attention. But I feel like I have this amazing tool that gives me the option now. And so yes, it is. And so I want to utilize it to provide nourishment for my body, and that feels really good too.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit, because I know a lot of people are afraid that they're going to use these medications, they're going to drop 50 pounds, but they're going to look emaciated or they're going to look sunken, which you look great.
Thank you.
But I know a lot of women have that concern.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, they call it that, like the semaglutide phase.
Yes.
Which I want to touch upon, and you've been doing a great job. As long as you're eating a healthy diet, you're having your protein, which you said, you're drinking your water, your amino acids.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take it too far. You know, you want to kind of stop where your body is comfortable.
Yes. And we talked, because we were just talking a little bit earlier about my goal weight. Like, I don't even know. I talked with Rosanna. I also talked with my endocrinologist about it. Like, I have not been this weight in so long. It's like, I don't know where I need to, what is a normal healthy weight for me? And you were sharing with me that BMI is like an outdated, that I need to pay more attention to actually my own body and how I feel.
Yes. So again, BMI has been around. I mean, it's a good indicator, but again, I don't like using it because maybe you were a certain weight at a certain age.
Right.
But we get older, you know, things change, and maybe you're not comfortable. You haven't been that way forever. And you know, you've come a long way. So if you feel comfortable and you're like, you know what, I look good in this, and you can wear that dress, or you know, you have the good self-esteem, and I think that's the most important, and that's what we really we don't want to put a stamina on weight loss that you have to be this weight.
Right. Yes.
As long as you're healthier and you look good, and you know, that's the goal.
Yes.
Because we don't want you to also lose a lot of muscle mass.
Right. Something that I have noticed, and I've talked to friends about this too, something that I have noticed with the weight loss, well, a lot, but as far as knowing the size that I want to be, we went on a vacation recently, and I was able to go up and down stairs and not winded, and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that would ever happen again, you know?
Exactly. So if you have the stamina, or you can get back in the gym, or you can, go up 10 flights of stairs, that's a good indicator. You're sleeping better, right?
Yes.
Because it does help with sleep apnea. Again, obesity causes metabolic syndrome, which kind of covers the hyperlipidemia, right? You have hypertension, chronic kidney disease. It can affect your eyes, sleep, many different things. Libido is affected. So, and it's something we don't talk about, but it's normal, right? We have to be able to kind of discuss those.
That's right. It's real life, and I think that's what this is Rosanna from Valhalla. Look, see, they know who she is. I told her everybody's going to be so excited. So something that for me in particular, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, and we've talked about it, is the inflammation and the autoimmune stuff that this has been an absolute game changer for me. I'm off of 3 different prescription medications I was on when we started. No longer qualified for a fibromyalgia diagnosis, the chronic fatigue, all of my inflammation markers were normal. So technically my Hashimoto's is in remission. So it is what I want, and I did not know it was possible. So how is that happening?
So again, when you're overweight, your body has so much cortisol, right? And cortisol is, there's ways we actually offer testing, which is another whole way of doing things. It's what your body goes into fight or flight, right? And when you're overweight, the inflammation makes your cortisol go up higher. It's like when you're not sleeping, right? Have you noticed you're more groggy and you crave more food, right? You want carbs to just keep you going.
And coffee. I was always propping myself.
Exactly, because we're not sleeping, so your cortisol level is higher. So what Tirzepatide does, and there's other ways to go about it, it reduces the inflammation because now your weight is better. The insulin resistance is gone, because if you have insulin resistance, insulin is a hormone that takes the sugar back into the cell, right? So it kind of transports it. So when you you're overweight, your sugars, right, your hemoglobin A1C, right? Let's say it's borderline, like 5.8 or 5.9. And we call that insulin resistant. You're pre-diabetic. That means your body's blood sugar is running on average a little bit above 100 daily. So it's not that you're diabetic, but maybe you're running 150s, right? Because it's an average. So what Tirzepatide is doing, or the semaglutide, it's taking that making your pancreas produce more insulin, so it can kind of take that insulin, that sugar, back into your cell. So sugar causes inflammation. So if you're constantly running at 150, 160, your hemoglobin A1C is elevated, you have more cortisol, you're more inflamed. And you're saturated, and all of that is going on. Is that kind of like the most simplest way I could explain it?
Oh my gosh. And it was probably, 3 months in that I can remember anyway, that I woke up in the morning because, Rosanna, my body hurt so badly. I got up in the morning and just, went to the bathroom, and I was like, I don't hurt. I almost started crying. I did not, my Achilles tendons would hurt so bad, my knees, my hips, sometimes I would have to kind of brace myself as I walked to the bathroom. I'm like, I am not that old, and there was a lot of grief in that. There was a lot of grief and sadness that I carried at a life that I felt like I was losing because my body was betraying me. And I remember just the morning that I realized I wasn't hurting when I went to the bathroom. And and it's just been better and better since that. It's incredible the changes.
And have you been using any vitamins or anything? I believe that vitamins play a big role. So I think the B12, the MIC B12.
That's the one that I do.
So that's the one that I kind of want to bring up, because the MIC B12 has the amino acids that's going to kind of give you that boost of energy as well.
Yes, it's huge.
So it's going to help it. They go hand in hand. But that alone is not going to make you lose a ton of weight.
Right.
It just kind of supports.
Yes. So you mentioned the craving sugar. Can we talk a little bit about our diet? So our food choices and things, because now that, you know, I've done all of where I am manipulating my food to try to lose weight, and that was temporary because I could not sustain it. Now that the medicine has given me that power, that internal power and autonomy, I can choose what I eat. So when it comes to someone who has had some autoimmune stuff and thyroid, like, what would be your suggestions for me and others?
I mean, we're all human, so here and there there's nobody. So we're gonna, but you know, ultimately you want to stay away from gluten, right? Or carbs.
Yeah.
Because carbs, I mean, it gives us that good feeling, you know, but it's empty calories.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And same thing with bread. Yeah, of course, it's okay. If you're gonna do it, I would say do it early in the morning.
Okay.
You know, and everybody, I always give everybody credit because by the time they've come to us and they've looked at this route, they've gone through so many different diets, and they've lost weight and they've gained it back because it's not sustainable.
Right.
So I would say you want to do high protein. You want to go to your lean proteins, right? So it's always that chicken,
turkey,
white fish, turkey. You want to do a bunch of those.
Yes.
Even having steak, you can have that. Why not?
Sure.
It's a good protein, but again, portion control.
Right.
And this is what's helping you, right?
It is. Yeah.
You can have a side of potatoes, but maybe have 2 pieces of it, right?
Right.
Why fill? You know, I'm not saying don't have it at all. You can have a French fries here and there, because
Yes.
I'm not gonna say no, but we're human, right? But you want to kind of stick to the lean protein, because lean protein, right, is 35 calories an ounce.
Okay.
So if you think of your chicken breast, right, and you can, you know, we're actually working on putting in menus, but I hate to have people to kind of measure their food, because
then you can start that kind of thing.
You're going down that route.
Right.
So when we do the consult, I never tell anyone what to eat, because I feel like you're going to be responsible and I'm just giving you a tool.
Yes, and so and I'm glad that you're saying that. For those of you that are here, even from what I understand in the trials, there was not a diet that was given to them. We're given the power to choose what we need for ourselves.
Yes.
And so just gentle, like for those of us who have had so many diets in the past that we just don't even know anymore.
Right.
So you're saying prioritize protein.
Yes.
Like don't completely eliminate necessarily carbs, but just be mindful that is not the best nourishment for you.
And I know some of us want salt or sugar, right? So for salty foods, right, you can do nuts, do your cashews, but buy the prepackaged.
Okay.
Because you have a little bit of portion control. I mean, nuts is one of those things that you can open a whole bag and eat it.
You don't realize how much you've eaten.
And that could be an easy 700 calories. And to imagine, you're like, I didn't eat anything today. I just had some nuts. And I had a coffee. And that's why we gain weight, because you know, if you really think about it, 10 almonds is 100 calories.
Wow.
So there is your snack, you know. But if you open the whole bag of peanuts, it's non-stop. So it's sort of like kind of telling your body where to stop and just giving yourself limitations.
Yes. If we haven't like really solidified a mindful practice of eating, because a lot of it's convenience. We just eat while we're doing things, and
work, you just bag it. You know, you're hungry, you'll go to the supermarket, you'll buy a croissant. But that has that. I mean, sometimes you have to kind of think about it. So what can I have instead of that? Or, have a protein shake in your car, you know, because you're out the door, you had your medication. You don't want to feel nauseous, because a lot of times we don't eat all day, and we end up binge eating, and that's when all the side effects come.
That is so true.
Because again, both of these medications decreasing gastric emptying. So imagine all the food is there, you just if you overeat, it feels good at the moment, but you're gonna pay for it. And that's when you have a lot of side effects. So, you know, Premier Protein is great. Any of those stuff. If you have it, it's great I keep it in my car. Sometimes I forget to eat. So there's different tricks that you can do and stay, you know, you're able to do it.
Yes. So you mentioned the gastric emptying, and that has slowed down. Does that have an impact on the tendency toward constipation?
Yeah, so that's a big thing, and I think it's huge now because a lot of the FDA has come up that these medications can cause gastric paralysis, and I think that's a lot of the misconception or people's fear of even going towards these medications, right? But that's why initially when we do our first consult, even at a low dose, you want to kind of encourage fluid or fiber, doing Miralax or something so simple from the beginning to just keep you regular.
Right.
Don't wait till you're like you haven't gone for 3 days, because that's when your bowels get lazier and lazier. It's just
okay. So
you're
that's
not
a thing.
going,
Okay.
And that's what ileus means. It means that, I mean, the stomach is a muscle, right? The intestine. So it's not making that movement to kind of keep you going.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So the longer you wait, like it's like perpetuating that.
Yeah, and that's why people have chronic constipation, right?
Yes.
There's different pills now for that, but they've just gone too far. That regular laxative doesn't work anymore.
Right.
But I say, if you try your magnesium, is great.
Yeah.
Just fiber, drink water. There's different teas, and I'm sure people have different things that they do. Everybody's different.
Yes.
So everybody
Apparently,
has.
passion fruit is a big one, because a lot of people talk about passion fruit kind of getting things moving. How do we determine how much protein and how much water we're supposed to be in?
So that's also tricky because, again, this is slowing gastric emptying, so you're going to feel full. So somebody could be taking 5 or 7.5 and they're really full. You don't want to, I don't want them to feel like, oh my God, I didn't eat this much, I have to catch up.
Okay. So we should still listen to our body. If we're full, don't force yourself.
Don't force it, but you want your main meals to have some protein, because if you're counting, I need to have 100 grams, or what if that day you're not at it, and then you're overeating, you're throwing everything up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So just common sense.
Sometimes I know we don't want to, but you want to just kind of, the most important thing is just listening to your body and how you feel.
Yes.
Because you're doing this, I mean, maybe for you this is okay, but somebody else cannot match that.
Right. And it is different. It's different than a diet mentality where there's a or a prescribed, you're supposed to eat this and not that, where this is really giving us the tool to be able to truly intuit and pay attention, like where fried foods do not feel good for me.
And that's what he's doing. And the one thing is that when you go to a supermarket now, you're not going to the same aisles anymore, right?
Yeah.
You're not even buying it to be in the house. So, I mean, I understand if you have kids and stuff, you have no choice. But I think you can still, the one thing is that you can still distinguish.
Right. Yeah. That's so helpful. Do we want to take some of the...
yes, with PCOS, because if you have PCOS, you have insulin resistance. That's one of the things, and I know metformin is prescribed a lot with PCOS, which this works much better. Metformin is an older drug. It works, but it's not as helpful. You gain a lot of weight with PCOS, so this is a game changer.
It really is. Could you talk about some of the supplements? You mentioned the McB12. What are some of the other things that people may want to consider?
So we offer a variety of stuff. One of the things that I talked with you was glutathione.
Yes.
Which is a great antioxidant.
How do you say it? Because I'm totally saying
it's glutathione.
Glutathione. Did y'all catch that?
Yes.
Glutathione, not glutathione.
Yes.
I said phrased it. Glutathione.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's sort of like the powerhouse, is a great antioxidant, because you always want to detox, right?
Yes.
And you were talking about weight loss, but you also want to prevent other diseases. You want to feel good.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a great antioxidant. It's great with skin. It clears up, and it gives you that whitening effect.
Okay.
If you do take it with vitamin C, it's done IV, but the injection is very easy. You inject it once a week, but you do feel like that detoxifying effect, and it's important because every day we walk the streets. There's so much stuff that we ingest that we don't even know, and down the line, those things can cause. There's PVCs, there's plastic that we're ingesting, the water, mercury from even seafood, right? Right.
So our liver does a good job, but
you
also.
want to kind of resist that.
And you had mentioned, you recommended it for me after I was sick and I was having like a flare up of inflammation, and you recommended that I, try this to kind of help my body cleanse whatever it was that was causing this reaction.
Yes.
And I mean, it is certainly, cleared up. But we were talking earlier also about skin.
Yes.
And that's a concern for a lot of us, just saggier. Also, I'm 49. That's a concern even before I had lost weight. So is there something that has like a double benefit for us?
Yeah, so we offer a cream which it's a peptide, right? So which comes from a copper peptide called GHK-Cu. It comes as an injectable, which is great for hair, nail, and skin. Okay. But we also offer a cream, which is, if you actually research, many of these expensive creams that are coming from peptides are made from GHK.
Okay.
Which is very anti-aging. It helps with fine wrinkles, and just it's a good cream. I've used it myself, which I've had great results. So I know a lot of us, in 40s, 50s, we go and we do retinol, and retinol gives you that peely.
That was not good for me.
Yeah, so it doesn't work with everybody. So I feel like this is more tolerable. You're not getting red, and you're not.
So good to know.
So you do it, you can do it twice a day. So we do offer that. It comes as actually as an injectable too, which helps with a lot of collagen. And I know everybody's obsessed now with collagen powders, right?
Yes.
So
what about hair? So some people have experienced hair loss. Fortunately, that hasn't been something for me, but I know my sister has, and she is on Ozempic. So what would you recommend?
Again, it's a stressor, right? You're losing weight. When you lose weight dramatically, right? You lose 30, 20 pounds. It's a stressor to the body, right? And the hair goes in stages. Right? So it's a stressor. Your hair is going to fall, but it's temporarily. It doesn't cause chronic hair loss. It will come back, but I think everyone's body is different.
And we're looking good, and we want beautiful hair, and so that's why people are just like,
yes. And I know with us, it's one of the biggest things. But it's temporarily. I mean, I would say you definitely want to supplement yourself a good multivitamin. Definitely the B12. If you do the B12, do the methylated version so your body can absorb it. The MIC-B12 is great because you're getting methionine, inositol, and choline. Those are the amino acids. So it gives you a nice boost, right? And protein, again, of course, is the building block.
Yes.
For everything.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Any vitamin suggestions for hair loss? So she kind of mentioned.
The GHK is a great peptide as an injectable. I've done it myself, so it does. I went through a period after COVID where I was like losing hair. I noticed more shedding, which I think that helped me a lot. Vitamins, of course. There's different vitamins. There's a ton of stuff. We do have the minoxidil, which is a well-known product, of course. So we do offer that as a topical.
So you mentioned the MIC-B12, which I do, and that is like standard for me. Has been really helpful with energy. What about? Oh gosh, I totally lost my train. What is the difference, or is there a difference between MIC-B12 and the Lipo-B that I heard about?
So basically the Lipo-B has L-carnitine in it. And L-carnitine is a product, it's good for fat burning, and it's also good for recovery. So if you're active and you work out, I mean, you could cycle between either two, but it just depends what you're looking for.
So they're not the same?
They're not the same, so they do have a different component, but I do like L-carnitine because it's one of those things that helps with fat burning. And also if you want recovery, let's say you work out or you exercise and you want that recovery period, and it does help with that as well.
So the Lipo-B is like equal to but plus?
Plus, exactly. There you go.
I like it.
Yes.
We're actually live right now. Killing it because everybody loves her. We won't be on much longer though. All right. So,
and then I wanted to bring up a little bit of the growth hormone peptides because, you know, a lot of people are doing the Tirzepatide and they want to come off of it. Not everybody wants to take this.
right.
And we want to talk a little bit about maintenance, right?
Yes.
Because that's a big concern. You lost 50 or 60 or 100.
117.
You don't want to go backwards,
No.
right?
No.
And it's okay to stay on a small amount, but there's other peptides that we can taper down to
Okay.
to help you build more muscle, right?
Okay.
Because if you have more muscle, you burn more calories. Your basal metabolic rate is higher.
Okay.
So
that's where, okay, that was y'all, that was a lot.
I
My
understand,
brain is
yes.
swirling. So let's first talk about maintenance.
Yes.
Then let's talk about what our options are.
Exactly.
So I am thinking that I'm probably 20 to 25 pounds from where I want to stop. Maybe before that.
yes.
So what am I going to do? I know that it'll probably be, I need to listen to my body.
Yes.
Absolutely. But what generally are we doing?
Yeah, so if you're on a high dose, like let's say if you're on a max dose at
And
that
I'm on
point,
15.
if you're on 15, which is the max dose, you want to start to taper down. And just, you know already how to do this. The
Yeah.
same way that you went up,
Yeah.
we went up from 5 to 7.5, or we usually say after the 5 milligrams, you want to just taper it up in small amounts and listen to see how you
Yes.
feel. So the same way, you're going to come down by a milligram or 2
Okay.
to the next step. So you can go from 15 to 12.
Okay.
Do that for a couple weeks, see if you're maintaining your weight, right? And kind of count yourself more accountable.
Right. Right.
And then 4 weeks later, you go up to 10. And the idea is to kind of get back down to the low dose of 5.
Okay. Okay.
And
So that is kind of what we're thinking is where the relationship that I have been building with food, where I am more accustomed to eating a lot of lean protein and vegetables, like that's becoming very muscle memory habit for me. That will continue as I'm decreasing my dose. Now, what does so I'm gonna stay on some of the medicine, like we're not just cutting
We're
cold
not
turkey.
going to cut you cold turkey.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing, because if you do, you're gonna gain at least, people usually gain 15% back when they stop cold turkey, and we don't want you to gain any.
I don't want to gain any of it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, of course, we don't want to say strength. Not everybody can work out. Of course, if you can
Right.
try to build more muscle, but to be realistic, who has the time?
Right, yeah,
If we
yeah.
can work out here and there, great. I mean, if you can do it,
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
But I would say then you get back down to the 5 milligrams. Now you want to kind of space out your injections.
Okay. So not every 7 days, maybe go 9.
Yeah, so 9, 10, if you can do it every 2 weeks, because there's still some of it. I know, so it takes time, but there are people that are, on maintenance
They're
and they're
already
doing
doing
it.
it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's possible because in your mind, you're accountable.
Yes.
And it
I'm
works.
here and I've got this tool, but the tool is no longer the driving like it has
Yes,
been. It's
exactly.
been like it changed black and white to color for me, and so now I see in color. I can make those choices for
Or
myself.
you can actually divide that. You can do maybe 2.5 and 2.5 just to give yourself that push. But you want to try to kind of, because I know people are very eager to get off of it.
Yeah.
But it is okay to do this long term. Like again, obesity is a disease.
Right.
So you want to take something for it.
Yes.
Just like hypertension, you take
And
your
my
blood
thyroid.
pressure.
Yes.
Yes, your
Yeah.
thyroid.
Yes,
Okay.
that's great. Okay. All right, so that is really good. And then you had mentioned that for some people that do want to come off of the medicine altogether, maybe do a peptide or kind of move a peptide in, like what?
Yeah, so we have different peptides. There's AOD 9604, which is a really good one because it produces more of the growth hormone as well, and also creates lipolysis.
Okay.
So you actually burn body fat.
Okay.
But it does take a little bit of time to work. It's not like the Tirzepatide that, when you inject that week and
You just feel
it's
it
like
and you lost 3 pounds.
you lost 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And I know it's like that with a lot of it.
Yes. do you recommend people measure?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what people are telling me. Because I did the AOD. It's a whole thing. They could tell you about it sometime. Did not do it for very long. It was my schedule. It wasn't the AOD.
Yeah.
But people have said you gotta measure because you will see your body composition changes.
That's what it's, so it's like a lot of women, like we gain weight in our hips and you kind of start to notice after a month or I would say by 2 months, you start to change like size or, so again, results vary from people to people. It just depends on body type too, right?
Right.
Some people put on more weight in a different area, right?
Yes.
Some people are down, some people are more up here. So
Right.
no two things are the same.
Yes. Now, I was telling Rosanna about belly fat for me, that is like, everything else feels fine, I've still got this belly fat, and you had mentioned that there was something that you recommended that particularly kind of targets the fat around organs and things like that. What was that?
So you have more of the belly fat, that's called the brown fat, so it's a little bit harder to get rid of, right?
Of course it is.
The belly is always like a big thing, and you know, it's a big indicator of a lot of diseases, right? If you have hypertension, of course that falls into it. So we do have a peptide called tesamorelin with ipamorelin, which is, it's a growth hormone peptide, so it's going to make your body to produce more of the IGF-1, but it also targets more of the belly fat and just gets you leaner. And you do make more lean muscle because it helps with protein synthesis in the body. You get the benefit of collagen a little bit because the more growth hormone you have, the more collagen, right? Because growth hormone is basically, it's what's your biological age, right? The higher is your IGF-1, the younger your biological age is. And every year after like 30, you start to kind of lose it, right? We kind of notice everything is kind of going
out of us.
There's also CJC 1295 with ipamorelin, which is another growth hormone peptide, which works great. Kind of similar, but it also helps. I've used it myself, and I do see a difference in body composition if you're trying to tone up or get more leaner. I know some of us lose that weight, and now you're like, I'm going to hit the gym, and I want to do this, and I want to look a certain way. So it's a great peptide to just help you reach your goals better.
Okay, so let's see. Yes, isn't she wonderful? I mean, oh my gosh, I was so excited. We were just going to make some videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Rosanna, would you go live with me? They would love that. Yes, I mean, right?
Thank you.
Y'all, if you're new and you are going to be using Valhalla, make sure and use my coupon code CHAS20. So it's my name, CHAS, the number 20. That'll give you $20 off of your order. You can also use it for $20 off of your consultation. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. You want to talk about Saxenda?
So Saxenda is another medication that's basically similar. It comes from like semaglutide, so it would be very similar. There's Rudelsis, you know, there's a ton of other medications.
So it's along the same kind of...
so basically semaglutide is the peptide that makes
those.
Those medications. So,
and but what we were talking about earlier is that the fewer side effects and the highest rate of weight loss is really with the Tirzepatide.
Right, and a lot of clinical studies has shown people just lose more weight with the Tirzepatide, and it's just it's more tolerated better.
Right.
So that's why that's a way to go, and it's just newer, and I'm sure it's going to become more used for weight loss.
Yes, for sure.
Another thing, I think a lot of people are afraid that this might actually drop their blood sugar. But this is not insulin, so it's not, even though it's making your pancreas to produce more insulin, but it's a peptide, and what peptides do, they're just a chain of amino acids that makes your body do a certain function. So it's when you eat, that's when your pancreas is producing more insulin to break down the food. So you're not just gonna wake up and be hypoglycemic. If you're not eating and you're skipping meals and you're really not doing what you're supposed to do, yes, it's possible. You might feel weak, but again, we mentioned protein and having something, you know, do a bar, do something.
Yes. I wonder if people assumed, because the way that this medicine kind of started in the market was with type 2 diabetes, and people just assume that that's what it's insulin, but it's really helping to prevent, for me, prevent type 2 diabetes.
Exactly, and that's what it's, because it's lowering the hemoglobin A1C, because your blood sugars are now better controlled on average.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
So the company is called Valhalla Vitality, and that Rosanna is a provider with them. And so there's a link over in my bio, also a coupon code there that you can use. And if you have any specific questions about the company and things, I try to label all of my videos so that you can search and find those easily. But you should check them out, Melissa. Yes, Tirzepatide is the real MVP.
That's the winner here today.
Yes, it is. So anything else that you think we should cover?
Any questions? Anyone? I think we covered a lot of stuff.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I just, this is kind of my passion, and I just kind of getting into it and diving a little bit deeper. But I think just helping people, because I actually can see results versus before. I work in nursing homes and hospitals, and I just see that side of things.
Right.
And you want to prevent that, again, cancer. We do offer a lot of testing about even pre-screening for cancers, which is great, because you want to, early detection is number one, also preventative, right?
Yes.
If you can do something about how you feel, so when you're older, you can still have quality of life.
Yes.
Because, I've been in a nursing home, and I see people are in their 70s and they're bedridden, they had a stroke, or they had, I don't want to live that way, and I feel the same way for my patients. So it's sort of what really took my passion.
Yes, it's like the obesity is a symptom, but it is also a cause. It is very cyclical, and so when you remove that piece, a lot of my health conditions improved. But then what I was seeing is that there was always, it's like I would go to the doctor and there was another one. It's like another thing was showing up, another marker in my blood, another autoimmune marker, because it just was getting worse and worse and worse. And so now that that's removed and that stuff is going away, I feel like, I'm not rewinding the clock, but it kind of feels like,
and you're taking care of yourself, right?
Yes.
So, and you're paying attention to different things versus before, we feel like we're so far gone. Well, who cares? I'll have another French fries. Who cares? I'll have the fried foods, because I'm hard, and people give up hope. And what this has really done, it's giving people hope back that they can lose 50 pounds, they can lose 100 pounds.
Yes.
And it gets easier, and you've been there. You've lost over
117.
Yes, which is amazing.
Yes. So we were talking earlier that my 1 year Tirzepatide is coming up. Is coming up on November the 21st, and so the thought that I have lost 117 pounds in under a year is just that is incredible. But the improvements in my quality of life and my health, that is priceless. I feel like my family, the time that I can spend with them, and the ability to really participate in my life and not just be an observer, it's just, I can't thank you enough.
And this is what's the most rewarding, to see people like you. And there was somebody that said, I couldn't go on any roller coaster. I was going with my kids, and now I can actually go on the roller coaster because I can climb the mountain, and that's the most important, because it's not about a number. You don't need to be a size 2 or 4.
That's right.
You can be a different size, but you can do things that you want to do, and that's how our program is kind of tailored.
Yes.
So you guys the patients drive the bus. We kind of give you a little bit of a tool.
Yes, I love that. Is there a point where your body says no more weight loss? That's a great question.
So a lot of people, it's, you lose that 30-pound, and even though your BMI again says that you need to be a certain, but you're not. You keep increasing the dose, you're not going anywhere. This is what your body wants. We can try different things. But again, you want to kind of work on more strength training and muscle. If you really want to, it's always that 5 or 10 pounds, you know, the closer you get, it gets a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel
You're
that
working pound by
it's
pound.
getting slower, and I was thinking the other day, like, I just want to go ahead and be done with it because I've got those other clothes that I just want to move into them and get, you know, just know what I'm going to be wearing. But then I was like, okay, like, I've come a long way, and for things to slow down, it makes sense, you know. So for those of us, let's talk about like a stall. So I don't love the term stall. I like to call it my recalibration zone, where my body is kind of like, I'm a different size now, different calories are needed. There's adjustments that have to be made, and that's normal because it shouldn't be a straight line, right? So what can you share with us about that?
So again, at that point, you want to just, we say about like there's Tirzepatide. You can add different things to just kind of, I mean, you have to be caloric deficit to lose the weight. So the same calorie that you were taking when you were a certain weight is no longer good enough anymore. So you have to kind of taper it down. And so it's a little bit more harder work, but I would say there's different things you can use as an appetite suppressant, right? There's tesofensin is a great peptide, which is not a controlled substance. It works within your, and I know it's not for everybody because it works with the dopamine receptors. So if you're on an antidepressant or you don't like, it does give you a little rush of energy. So it's not for everybody, but we do offer it. Some people don't mind it. We do offer phentermine still. And a lot of people, it's okay. They use that in conjunction with semaglutide. Or Tirzepatide to kind of make the weight go faster. There is AOD 9604. There's the old ephedrine stack, the caffeine stacks. But it's not for everybody exactly. If you have a heart condition or AFib or any of that, you can't do phentermine. So again, it's tailored differently, but there's things that you can do. The growth hormone peptides can help you build more muscle so you burn more calories. So you can still eat the same food because your body's kind of using more to burn it.
And I think that is something now that I've lost weight and I'm feeling better and I feel like moving, you know, and doing some things, remembering that muscle is going to actually help continue to lose and shed what I need to. So that kind of gives my brain a little bit of direction in like, what should I do for movement? Well, if I'm building muscle.
You can just do dumbbells, you know, little things, you know, just a little bit. If you incorporate that, and over time, you'll see you building, like your arms look, right?
I'll get Michelle Obama arms.
Yes, they look great, right? The crust top,
Okay, let's see. It is giving you your life back, yes. Hey, Sam. Oh, guys, it's so good to see you. Shayla, hey, girl. So I do have a video that I will probably post when later today, where I started my interview with Rosanna, and then we decided that this would be better. And so I'm so glad that you had the time and were able to do this with us. And if anybody else has a quick question for Rosanna. Let's see. What company? I think I already mentioned that it's with Valhalla. So I will post the little clip of the interview that I have, and you know, you can go back and watch the lives also. If you guys follow me, definitely you can get all of the wonderful insight that Rosanna gave us.
But basically you're doing a great job. So you're kind of a great example.
Well, it has been just such a beautiful
when you look
journey.
back, you feel, you know, wow, I did this, and I'm like, it's kind of just.
I mean, I really did not.
And it
think
gives a lot of people hope, because a lot of people might have been in your, and they just like lost hope. And again, I know this stuff can be costly, but again, you know, quality of life. Sometimes money can, and you know, you go to your regular doctors and sometimes they don't focus about it. They're like, well, go home, lose some weight.
Right, yes,
Or,
yeah.
you know, you have high cholesterol, take the statin. But we don't feel good with the statins, right? You get achy and people don't like taking it. So I feel like healthcare is kind of shifting towards more preventative care.
Yeah.
And, you know, cost, of course, with, this is the day and age
It
that
is.
you know, there's shortages and
yeah.
I wish it could be available to everybody.
I do too, and like that is something that I do feel sad for those who follow along and they really do want to be able to. It's just that it isn't accessible for everyone, but I'm grateful that you all provide outside of insurance, because that's where I was.
That's the big thing, and you know, insurances and the insurances that do prove it, people still can't get it.
I know.
So that's just a whole other thing. But you know, this could be a backup plan for somebody, because you don't want to stop this more than, I would say, 10 to 14 days, because you're gonna have to go back.
Right.
So you know. Prepare or do it in advance.
Consistency
is
important.
The key. Yeah, just like anything. So you don't want to do this for 3 months and then stop and then And we have patients that they did it for 3 months, they lost 20 pounds, like I didn't do a follow-up or anything. So now they're coming back. Well, I gained some back.
Right.
Because they never went into maintenance, and just that's so important.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Like, I've come so far.
Yes, exactly.
And so something that I have noticed that is different now, I mean, it's so obviously different, but every time I've lost weight before, when I start getting close or where it's like a significant amount, I start feeling like I'm gonna lose my footing at any minute, like I'm white knuckling it. And when is it all gonna fall apart and I'm gonna like mess up and I'm gonna gain all of it back? I mean, it's temporary. I mean, every time I've known it was gonna happen. The last time that I had lost down to, not even the weight that I am now, this is the lowest that I've been, like, I don't even know how long, but I remember we went on a trip and I felt so good. I was able to, you know, move around and do all of the things and felt really comfortable. And when I came home, I was like, okay, well, that was that. And I mean, I just knew that I could not sustain what I had been doing to get there, because it was so restrictive and it just felt like punishment constantly. And it's so different now, which is actually, that is something that I've had to think through. Is like, there's a part of me that's like, when is this going to go away? You know?
Yeah, and you kind of give yourself that credit now because you've like learned that habit.
Yeah.
So you've kind of reached that point that it's a learned habit. It's going to stay with you.
Yes.
Versus somebody that's doing phentermine, it's going to go, that phentermine is good just in between. If you have to lose 10 pounds, yes.
Sure.
But if, you know, you're looking at 20 or 30, you know, 50 pounds.
117.
Yeah, 117. The main issue is that, and maybe you're doing everything right, you're eating healthy, you're really not eating bad, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're kind of stalled. You lose the same weight back and forth. It's a sign that you have insulin resistance.
Right. Yes.
And you need something for that. And you know, the regular old diet and exercise is not going to cut it.
No. It feels like I finally, and I've tried, because I love using analogies in my work during the day and with this, like, it feels like I finally, like, I'm not using a screwdriver to hammer in nails, you know, I've got the right tool finally.
Exactly, and I know some people don't agree with it, but it has worked for people and it's helping a lot of people. People are getting off their blood pressure, so I think that's proof in a pudding.
Yes, I agree.
You don't want to, you know, so that's what
well, and the great thing is, like, people can choose, like, they don't have to do
exactly
this, you
that's
know,
what I want.
And there are, and you know, I would really love to hear your perspective on this too. So, you know, there are health at every size advocates and anti-diet, and I was, before I found you guys, like, that's where I had to live, was like, I've got to love the body that I'm in. I can't just like kind of think, well, if I were skinny, I would love myself, but I'm just going to be miserable. I had to love me in this body. And So there was this dissonance initially of like, okay, well, I said I loved my body, but now I am changing it. Can I still, and I had to do that was my own work to figure that out. But how do we, because this isn't accessible to everyone.
Yes.
And so knowing that all bodies are good bodies.
Right, exactly. That's what I want to say. There's no stigma that you need to be this size, or we're not trying to fit you. And that's why I don't even like the BMI.
Right.
Because I feel like it gives people such a pressure.
Yes.
That they don't feel good. Now they're thinking, okay, well, I've lost 20 pounds, but they don't give themselves credit because I'm not at my BMI.
I'm not there yet.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, any weight that you lose is great.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're getting healthier and you're living longer if you think about it, because if you're overweight, you have sleep apnea, you have many different things.
Yeah.
And, just kind of like I feel like step by step, right? And that's what we say in a visit. I know everybody gets very, well, what am I going to do? I feel like, take it week by week.
Right.
And that's a way to do it.
Yes.
Because you don't want to, and before you know it, you'll be there.
It's true. A lot of people will say, oh, I just, I've only lost whatever. And I'm like, the mentality kind of that we have to have is, well, if you've only lost 4 pounds, that's 4 pounds less than you were.
It's going to add up.
It does add up.
So 1 to 2 pounds a week is a good number. You're not going to lose. And I don't know where the misconception, I don't know if it's a Hollywood thing that Kim Kardashian lost maybe, 20 pounds in one, or 10 pounds in 1 week.
Right, yeah.
That's probably a lot of water weight. You're not going to lose that quickly.
Right. And you're not going to gain weight that quickly either. So, like, if you weigh and it looks like from yesterday until today you've gained 3 pounds.
No, it's not true. And that's the same thing. Like, you weigh yourself at night and in the morning, it's going to be 3 pounds difference.
Right.
So water weight, if you're dehydrated, your body actually retains more water.
Yes, it's like the opposite of what you think.
So, if you sleep and drink water, I can guarantee you, your weight will come back.
Yes.
And a lot of times we go on vacation and we're drinking, we're doing this. We come back, but we didn't gain, maybe we gained a little bit. We kind of get back on track, it comes off.
It does, yeah. Your body figures it out. Okay, yay Sue, I'm so excited for you. Yes, so Shayla, Rosanna is a provider with Valhalla, and she is actually my provider. So when I came up here to visit in New York, I went over to their headquarters today. They're in this really beautiful new space. They're getting it like built out now. But she met me and agreed to come on live with me. So anyway, she's amazing. Everybody is. But do you guys have any other questions for us? So just kind of last thoughts, you can go on and watch this live later. It typically takes a few hours for TikTok to upload that. Also, if you're new, make sure that you like and follow and use my coupon code if you're going to be going with Valhalla. It's CHAS20, so CHAS, the number 20. You can use that up to 3 times, so that means you can use it with your consultation. You can use it with 2 orders after that. So it's a really good way to get started. So don't forget about that. Hey, Steph. So you guys, thanks for hanging out with us. And Rosanna, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Of course.
And you guys take good care of yourself. Drink your water.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.